Welcome to Facebook Live with my good friend, Dan Sullivan. And I'm really excited today because we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, teamwork, and how, Dan, I can always 100% count on our teamwork because of your commitment to three things that are part of Strategic Coach. So I'll say what those three things are, and then we'll get into some depth about them. So the first one is that I know that you always want to be a hero to the team. Mm-hmm. And actually, who do you want to be a hero to is the subject of your most recent quarterly book, which we're going to talk a little bit about. But the other mindset that really works is that you are 100% committed to unique ability teamwork, which I know that if I'm coming to you with a challenge or a situation where we want to switch something up because of your commitment to that and wanting people to be in their unique ability, then that's a part of it. And then the third function, so it's a little trifecta, is that if it's packaged in the form of an impact filter, which is another book that you've written, the Extraordinary Impact Filter, that's a perfect communication tool to express what I want to have happen. And given that I know so many entrepreneurs have trouble being in teamwork with their teams, and so many team members are intimidated by being in teamwork or how to be in teamwork with their entrepreneurs, I thought this would be an awesome topic for today. So I'm delighted to kind of pull back, go backstage with Strategic Coach and talk about our teamwork. So Dan, let's talk about the unique ability portion of it first. You have always had this really interesting mindset that you are committed to your development of your own unique ability, but in order for you to do that, you really want to be connected to the unique abilities of other people. So can you, because I think you have a kind of, I'm going to say enlightened perspective on how to be in teamwork with others. And I'd love if you just share some of that. And I know we've got questions coming in too, so this will give people some raw material to work with.
Yeah, well, I think, Shannon, my passion for teamwork has really come from a 45-year journey with me as being an entrepreneur, where I think almost every entrepreneur has to, just to begin your entrepreneurial career, you have to be kind of a rugged individualist, that you're willing just to take a risk and go out and start a company where nobody guarantees your income. And going through my own experiences and then being a coach for 45 years to other entrepreneurs, first of all, just one-on-one, and then for the last 30 years, we've had the Strategic Coach program. There's this thing where rugged individualism gets you in the game, but to actually grow in the game, at a certain point, you have to completely shift gears and just focus on the unique ability where you're truly unique. And we say it's never more than about 3 activities. So, I coach, I create new coaching materials, and I do what I'm doing right now. I do a lot of marketing activities, Facebook Live, podcasts, books, and that's all teamwork. So I'm good at certain parts of those activities, but in order for them to be really, really successful. So we have 5 team members with me in the studio right now, so I can just concentrate on this. Otherwise, I have to be trying to do everything myself. 2 things about this. I've always liked teamwork ever since I was born. I'm a 5th child, and my parents are both 5th children, so I'm a 5th child of a 5th child. And when you're a 5th child, you're not number 1, you're not number 2, you're not number 3, and you're not number 4. Right. And so you have to be useful to have a place. And but I think the world in general, with the combination of a growing population and also electronic communications, it favors people who are really good at being good at one thing, but then being able to collaborate and cooperate in teamwork with as many other people as possible. So I think it's a combination of personal, I think it's a combination of our own company experience, and I think it's a combination of just what's happened to the world over the last 45 years. But everybody who gets really great at being an entrepreneur doesn't do it as a unique individual. They do it as one member of a unique ability teamwork.
And Dan, one of the things I know about you too is that when you meet an entrepreneur, a client, or even a team member, one of the things you're most curious about is what is their unique ability. So you actually have this sort of lens through which you look at people. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think it's kind of interesting. A lot of people, I think, when they bring a team member on board or even a client, they try to slot them into a box, but that's not really your approach.
Yeah, it's really interesting because there was a 6-year period of my life. I grew up on a farm in northern Ohio when I was alone with just adults. There weren't any children that I played with, and I got really, really good very, very early in actually asking adults questions. And for some reason, and I think I was born with this, they tell me about their activities, but you could see the ones, there was an emotional level about their experiences and their activities. You say, that's kind of the sweet spot for you. And so I began to realize that an enormous number of people were spending an enormous amount of their life, their work life, and everything else, only occasionally being really great at what they were passionate about, and then they spent a lot of time doing activities where they weren't very good. But if they just zeroed in on the thing they were good at and then had the ability to link up with other people, that this would be a multiplier. Now, I had that insight young, but personally it took me probably 30 years, 40 years to really get a handle on how it works in daily life. But once I made the crossover to teamwork, there was no going back to doing things. And I've eliminated virtually all work in my life, both personally and also professionally. I've eliminated all work where I'm doing work by myself. I try as much as possible that I'm always working with someone else because it doesn't tempt me to go into areas that I'm not very good at.
Anna, you've talked about that breakthrough a little bit, and that's a really recent breakthrough, really in the last year, where you had this insight.
Where it's absolute, where I said, get rid of everything where you're working alone.
Right. Well, that's where we all get into trouble. A lot of us do anyway. So
well, I don't know about everybody, but I do know about me.
I would be me too. That's awesome. One of the other attitudes, Dan, that I really appreciate about your working with the team is that you are really committed to being a hero to the team. So you're not just front-facing in terms of our clientele and our, larger strategic coach community, but you actually want to be a hero to the team. Why is that important to you?
Well, my great objective in any activity that we're doing in Coach is that what I know about the value of unique ability and unique ability teamwork grows in the minds of everybody else that I'm working with, because it makes them so much happier. It makes them so much more valuable. It makes their work be friction free. I call it friction free.
Yeah.
And all the friction in people's lives is where they are unable to cooperate and do teamwork with other people. Anytime we can do teamwork with other people, it's just a wonderful, memorable experience. I mean, once you have it, you want more of it.
Yes, and unique ability teamwork. Yes, that's the friction-free part of my experience. So we have a question that Rachel is going to share with us.
Samantha would like to know, in addition to the impact filter, which communication tools do you use to communicate with your project teams and keep everyone up to date with the progress?
We haven't talked about impact filter yet, but that's actually the third element. So let's chat about that for a moment. And you have their fabulous.
There's a book,
Impact on that too, along with the unique ability book. So the impact filter, Dana, if I have something, and I did one in preparation for today. In fact, a version of it is right here in preparation for our conversation, is it really helps to set the intentionality behind what I want to have happen. So that's a key element. But you have another tool that you work with your key team with, which is the 4x4.
Yes.
So I was thinking about, in the answer to Samantha's question, the impact filter partnered with the 4x4, which, by the way, are two 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper, is pretty much defines.
I would say that's my entire communication vehicles. And so I have a rule for myself that if I'm just talking about an idea, my team doesn't have to pay any attention to me. I'm just talking. But if I take my thoughts and spend a half hour defining a project, this is a project I want to complete. This is the purpose. This is the importance. This is the ideal outcome. I'm just giving the categories that I fill in. by the time I get there, I make a decision. Is this just something I want to think through, or is this something I actually want to achieve? But I have a rule. I never try to sell anybody on my team on anything that I'm not 100% sold on first. So I don't want to waste their time. I don't want to start something and then stop it because I'm not completely sold. And then I tell them this is the best thing that can possibly happen out of this if we go forward, and this is the worst thing that can happen if we don't go forward. So at that point, I'm 100% committed, and then I indicate that this will be a great project if at the end of it, this is true, this is true, this is true, up to 8 what I call success criteria. And then I will send it out as a PDF and to all the people who, would be involved. And then we get together and chat. And the thing is that when they get the impact filter, they know that Dan is 100% committed to this. He's not telling how it's going to be done. I'm simply saying when it's finished, it looks like this. This is really important, and when it looks like. And then I rely on them to take their unique abilities and say, well, I'll do this part of it, I'll do this part of it, I'll do this part of it. And so I don't have meetings to talk about what we're meeting about. I only have meetings where I have an impact filter, and they're never more than about 15 minutes. No matter what the project is, it's never about, and everybody is very clear and they're very confident, and I'm just asking them to be in their capability. So Samantha, the thing for me is I want to only use people in their best capability, and I only want to have them committed to the very best projects. And on the other hand, I should also say that you can't have a meeting with me unless you do an impact filter and tell me 24 hours ahead of time. So you can't just drop by and talk to Dan. And the reason is because if you really want to talk to me, is it worth a half hour of your thinking to say what you want to meet for? Because, again, it'll be about 15 minutes. And if someone sends me a project and in an impact filter form, I'll ask them questions about it. But generally, I say go ahead with it. Go ahead with it. Yeah.
Well,
I've got vast experience in completing projects, and there may be shortcuts that I can recommend. But if they're committed to it, let's go ahead with it.
Well, and that's really the fun thing is that meetings with you are incredibly short.
I have incredibly short meetings.
We have, and this example we'll talk about in a moment. So the impact filter is critical, and that's the requirement to meet with you, and then also what you send to other people, and that really clarifies the intentionality. And you're someone with a lot of ideas, and the fact that the team does not have to take action unless it's accompanied with the ideas accompanied by an impact filter. There's enormous freedom. So you have filtered out your less, time sensitive, whatever criteria you have. You've only filtered through the best ones. But there's another tool that you've recently brought back into use called the 4x4.
Yeah, the 4x4.
Which you've used with our new podcast manager, Gord Vickman, and the rest of your kind of core team. So talk about that, because I think if I think about the two things that you do, it's the impact filter, and then the 4x4 kind of sets some of the more general standards that you're looking for.
Well, I'll talk about it in two ways. One is that when we're hiring someone new, you have things that you're hiring the person for. There's some need that you have. So I have really gone big with podcasts. So as of today, I have 10 podcast series. And I love podcasts, and virtually all my podcast series are where I'm having a conversation with someone about a particular topic that I really like exploring. And so each of the podcast series has a different topic. And but it was getting out of control because I'm not good at backstage details and organization. I'm really, really good at, I'm a front stage guy. I'm not a backstage guy. And the accumulation of podcasts was creating a lot of complexity. And I needed someone to come in who had, total experience in handling, and actually, as it turned out, it was the perfect person because he had enormous experience with radio programming, live radio programming, and there's a lot of complexity to that. And he had that mastered. But the other thing about it was I wanted him to be a hero to me, hit the ground running, So in addition to all the technical qualifications, there's 4 things. It's called the 4x4. There's 4 quadrants on the sheet. One of them is best performance. I have 4 things. Best results, 4 things. How you can be a hero to me, 4 ways. And 4 ways you can drive me crazy. Now, performance and results, that's usually something that's talked about, when someone new comes into organization. But how you can actually be a hero in the first 6 months, that's never really talked about. The word hero is never used usually when you're hiring somebody. This is how you can be. This is what's required, but this is how you can actually be a hero. And by the way, I don't like every kind of behavior, and I don't like every kind. So I tell you the 4 behaviors, so that if you do this, it's going to drive me crazy. And I should say he got that 2 weeks before he actually was hired. But getting that piece, he said, he's so committed to me that I'm just going to start thinking about what I'm going to do. And what I asked him to do in the first 6 months, he actually did in the first 6 weeks. He actually did in the first 6. He hit the ground being a hero, and we've passed that on to other people. But now it's gone company-wide, and everybody has their 4x4, and it's upgraded every 90 days within their teams. And then the projects that they work on, then if they also combine the impact filter and just do the thing that's in their unique ability, it just creates exponential growth for an entrepreneurial company.
Without a lot of like hand-holding, hands-on, I mean, the meetings, as we already talked about, are super short. Progress reports. Kathy Davis is another one of your key project managers, or innovation manager, we call her. And, you'll send her an impact filter, and then she'll send you one back. So that's pretty cool. And often you're a member of the team. Like, you might initiate a project, but then your talent might be required. So your teamwork is part of often getting the project done in your own, I was thinking about the Win Streak app, so we need your help naming it, because some of the other names were taken. So she'll use you, but really she's in charge of the project after the impact filter's done.
Yeah, I have projects which are major projects in the company where my part of it is just to do the impact filter, have the meeting, and then occasionally be brought in for clarification. But, it'll involve 10 or 12 people, and it'll just have a major impact. But aside from maybe 2 hours to clarify things, I'm not involved at all. And yet I count it as one of my achievements, but I really haven't done any of the actual work to get it done. And I count that as just, in my world, that's a huge prize.
Well, it's also a huge prize for the people on your team, because they have incredible autonomy. They get to use their talents. They get to involve other team members. There's nothing more fun than being aligned with you on a project, but having incredible responsibility, as I said, autonomy to actually make it happen. That's very fulfilling. You're not micromanaging. You're not over controlling. You're not like, what's happening every day with that. You've got little status reports, and one of your other team members, basically you kind of look at the blackboard that you have up in our cafe, and usually it's a thumbs up, and that's the conversation.
We have numbers that we're shooting for, and there's what I call 100% achievement, and then there's over 100%. It's filling up workshops. But I would say, Shannon, you're getting me to do all the talking here, but a major contribution that we've had for 25 years in Coach is the whole team support program for the entrepreneurs. And that was your idea, and you took total initiative for it. And have I spent any time on it at all?
You helped me write the first 2 workbooks, because I didn't know how to design a workshop. And then after that, I took over, and that was in 1995. Yeah. That's the last time you had much to do with it.
Yeah, and all the support programs, I mean, it's in the millions of dollars every year now, and you have dozens of different people involved in it. And I didn't manage you, I didn't monitor you, I didn't have to motivate you, because you were committed to it. And I said, this is like a tremendous bonus that someone would actually create this. And more and more in the company, we have people who are just heroes because they're passionate about something they want to contribute to the overall offering that we have to the entrepreneurs. It's all about the entrepreneurs. I mean, we don't do strategic coach with anyone except successful, creative, ambitious entrepreneurs. And then we just keep looking at new things to support them. But our team are the ones who are actually passionate about the supports because they've observed the entrepreneurs and they could do that. I'm not the one who points this out.
Well, and I love you and Babs have both, always thought a huge part of the growth of the company is based on the growth of the capabilities of the team. So you're looking for those opportunities. We have another question that's come in.
Paul is asking, when Dan transitioned from being a solo entrepreneur to working with a team, who were his first 3 hires in terms of roles, and on reflection, were they the right ones?
Well, Paul, it's very, very interesting because I never I hired my podcast manager and I hired one other person. This is the 30th year, and I think that those are my 2 hires. And we have a team of we're somewhere in the neighborhood of about 120 team members, and we're in 8 time zones. We're in 3 countries. But my greatest first unique ability teamwork was with my partner Babs Smith, and Babs said, "What you should do is create the program. I'll see what kind of support system." So right from the beginning, all the hires were done by Babs, and Babs is really phenomenal at getting the right people into the company. So I'm not good at that. And I will say this, Paul, if you're a salesperson, don't do the hiring, because salespeople treat hiring like it's a sales opportunity, and they want to sell the person on working. And the people you want hiring, you don't want them to be salespeople. You want them to be poker-faced and said, maybe not. So salespeople always are more, in a sales interview, the salesperson most wants to have the person sign up, and that's not a good way to hire. So
delegate that.
I was protected from myself right from the beginning.
That's right.
Yeah.
Although you did hire a graphics person, or you 2 did.
But Babs did the hiring.
Right.
She found the person, and right from the beginning, I always felt that having an artist who could take our ideas and put them into graphic form was going to be our biggest communication multiplier right from the beginning.
Which it has been. Dan, there's one other, I kind of want to share an example of how the, knowing and how to handle tough situations, how the, knowing that you want to be a hero to the team, your commitment to unique ability teamwork, and the impact filter actually helped us with a fairly, what could have been, I think, for a lot of companies, a really challenging teamwork situation. It had to do with our team that was producing the quarterly books. The main writer of the books was getting really kind of burnt out and wanted to kind of pull back a little bit, and yet she didn't know how to talk to you about that. And it was fun because she came to me to say, are there any other alternatives? Are there other ways to do this? Maybe fewer books. I'm like, that's not going to happen. But we wrote out an impact filter together and came and talked to you about it. And she had another solution, which was fantastic. An excellent writer who happened to be our brother. And all we did was bring the impact filter to you. And do you remember what you said when we brought that situation?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, talk about that.
I said, sounds good. Sounds good. Let's do it.
Yeah, which was awesome.
I said, and, it's kind of funny, when I'm okay with something, I don't write 2 or 3 pages. I said, go for it. This sounds good. And when people bring me something that I don't think is good, I just say, nope, not going to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm sorry, no.
Yep.
No.
Well, and that's what was so great.
And actually, there's more explanation with no than there is with yes. I mean,
yes.
What do you need besides yes to get a project going
right.
ahead?
Well, and it was really interesting. So it was a stressful situation for one of the members of the team, but because I'm so confident in your commitment to people being in their unique ability, and for her it wasn't. It was an excellent activity. And, because I knew you wanted to be a hero to us, and we were communicating in the form of an impact filter, it took what could have been a really crunchy situation and made it so easy and so graceful and gracious, and freed up to do what she's unique at, which she's an incredible editor. We brought on another team member, and you were like, great. And it was so simple. And so it's fun. I have so much confidence about other people are really stressed. I'm like, what do you think about Dan? I'm like, oh, he'll be great. Because that's been my experience of working with you. So thank you for making it so easy.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. And I think you have a take on people and a take on wanting to be a hero to your team, not just to your clients. And you have an awesome communication tool in the form of the impact filter that it's 100% count onable for me.
Yeah. Well, I just want to go back to the no situation.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, generally speaking, I'm very, very inclined to support anybody's new idea to add extra capabilities and opportunities for the company. So, it's really easy if you give me your proof that you're completely committed to actually producing this route. I'm going to give you a yes. The case where I say a no is where it's usually someone new in the company, and they'll say, Dan, you ought to take the strategic coach into the bureaucratic school system because they sure need it. And I said, that would be a no. That would be a no. Or take it into corporations. So I said, that would be a no. So there's a lot. Everybody would like strategic coach,
right,
which is just for entrepreneurs, to be given to the rest of the world. And I said, no. I said, this is just for entrepreneurs. It's been that way for the past 45 years. I have a plan for my next 25 years, which will take me to age 100, and it's just all entrepreneurs for the next 25 years.
Well, and to me, it's because you're incredibly
Because I can be
clear.
a hero to entrepreneurs. I don't know how to be a hero to those other people.
Yeah.
And I have no desire to be a hero to people except entrepreneurs and my team and everything connect to my team. But my desire to be a hero stops at that border.
Well, we appreciate it, and you're really great at being a hero to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.
Pleasure.